What's going on, everybody? My name is Pete, and this is the Nairobist. What is going on in China? What the hell is going on in China? I've been following up on China for the last couple of weeks, and the situation there is getting seriously bad. This all started out with COVID restrictions from 2019, and China has this policy called the zero COVID policy or something to that extent, and they're basically cracking down on COVID and enacting very draconian laws to do this, and things went south really fast this week or this past week due to an incident that happened in one of the provinces in China. So what happened was there's an apartment complex that caught fire, and the people inside were locked in, basically under lockdown due to COVID restrictions on movement in China. And we're going to see a couple of videos in a short while, and you'll see just how bad this situation is going down in China right now. So I understand that some people died because they could not get out, as the apartments were effectively sealed off. So what the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, is doing is, if an area is suspected of having any infections of COVID-19, they put that area under complete lockdown. That is zero movement. If you're in your house, you get locked in and they just deliver food, or if you don't have food, you can literally starve. Things are bad in China. I've been observing China for a while, and their laws, these draconian laws enacted by the CCP, at the helm of it being Xi Jinping, they've just gone overboard, man. With the whole social credit system. Now they're even using drones. They're using drones that scan your QR code. If your QR code is red, that means you have COVID. Like, they can tell if you have COVID or not, and they can decide to limit your movement by denying you a green pass on your green code. So you scan these QR code wherever you go, into buildings, establishments, and if it doesn't show green, you denied entry. So there's just so much stuff that is happening in China right now. It's insane. I never thought China would ever reach this point, but it has. There's huge protests all over China right now as we speak, and it will be interesting to see how this unfolds in the next couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure that the establishment of the Communist Party is going to crack down on these heavily, but it will be interesting to see how this goes down. So let's look at these couple of videos so that you just see how serious this situation is.
走。大家请看，这是3单元的严拿铁丝绑着的。我从4单元把这个门开以后过来以后，我们逃生逃到3单元看守所哈，我们都过不去。看清楚。
今天是2022年10月25号，发生了这些问题以后，我检查消防通道门打不开，看这铁丝，这从外面我不知道是谁给的权利，谁下发的文件，所有的消防第一通道后门，我看到酒店有70多号人，一旦出现了问题，无法解决，现在社区还没给我给个答复。
我操！我们现在这个门也被砸了。
China is a very huge country with a massive population. I think they are north of 1.4 billion now. Can you imagine having a country of 1 billion people? How you're going to manage that country? To some extent, I kind of sympathize with the Communist Party and all these draconian laws that they enact. To control such a country is a tall order, but they may be losing their grip on their country with this. Remember, I think it was last year or maybe 2 years back when we had the Hong Kong protest for democracy, and we saw how the government cracked down on that party. So even this is not going to be pretty. Of course, seeing all these protests brings back memories of the incident on Tiananmen Square of 1989, where the government of China at that time, the Communist Party, I think killed about 10,000 people, if I'm not mistaken. The Communist Party, just to do a quick, brief history of the Communist Party in China. China has come a long way since the days of Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong is really considered to be the father of modern day China. And with Mao Zedong, these communist ideas really came to life. Mao Zedong took over China and enacted these communist ideas from borrowing a lot from the communist regime in Soviet Russia, or Soviet Union rather, at that time. So he borrowed a lot of these ideas from the communists in the USSR. And these communist ideas are heavily borrowed from Marxism or Marxist ideas. These are the ideas of the philosopher, writer Karl Marx. And they have been disastrous the world over. Wherever communism has just been followed by death and authoritarianism and just brutalism completely. So Mao had this idea called the Great Leap Forward that involved bringing in these communist ideas into the agrarian society that was China at that time, and the result of it was about tens of millions of people dying from famine because of these ideas. So it was just a disaster, even for China. The guy who really turned around China to become the economic powerhouse that it is right now was Deng Xiaoping. And under Deng Xiaoping, um, China turned away from communism, at least in the economic sense of the word, and delved into capitalism. And they call it capitalism with Chinese characteristics. So the government by rule is communist. So you have the communist Politburo ruling the country, but the economic model is very capitalist, really, uh, but with heavy government control. So you can have your company, but the government has a say on how your government runs. I don't know if you remember the incident that happened with Jack Ma a couple of maybe a year or two back when he decided to speak up against the communist government in China. The government basically disappeared him for a couple of months, and when he came back, he was muted. You've never heard of Jack Ma again. China has a point to prove to itself, and I can say with its growing military might, we can see its actions right now in the South China Sea, where China is flexing its muscles in that area. The situation with Taiwan as well, and how that is causing friction with the West. We'll see how this plays out in the long run. But I don't think the West really wants a war with China, even though China has never been tested in war in the recent times. But with its massive standing army and its new arsenal of weapons, and I do understand that China is building a massive navy for about, they say they have a target of about 500 ships by 2035. Who is going to mess with China? To add on top of that, they have nukes as well. So China is a powerhouse. It is going to be very interesting how this pans out. We are heading towards a multipolar world, whether the West likes it or not. Now, going back to this issue of China now cracking down on its own citizens on this COVID-19 issue, I think they've really gone overboard. This is a cautionary tale on the dangers of an authoritarian government. We've seen this through history, but I don't think humanity ever learns from history. Really, I don't think we do. We study history in school just for memorization of names and dates, but not learning any lessons about human nature. And without learning these lessons, we are definitely bound to repeat it. I'm going to keep my eye on this issue in China for the next couple of weeks and just see how this develops. And I would urge you to do the same. There's a lot of things that China has done right, but there's a lot of things that it has also gone horribly, horribly off the rails. So let's keep watching this. Let's keep abreast with what is happening in China. And we learn these lessons so that we can also check our own government not to go down that route. Ama namna gani? All right. See you later.